I think this is the way that kick-ass popcorn entertainment spy versus should be done.
And that's YRF spy universe thing happened. I was like, I'm just manifesting everything.
It's important to acknowledge that they are not making the women just eye candy. Overall, just the joy of a collective experience. And this was all of it.
You can love a film. You can love if it's a celebration and more than a film. Nobody should feel ashamed to have had a good time during Pathaan.
Yeah. All the men out there, I'm just putting it down for the record. This woman does not exist. Do not expect it. Hey everyone, I'm Anupama Chopra. You're watching The Late Take.
And I'm Anmol, and I can't wait to get into this discussion with you finally.
About Pathaan, but be warned, this is going to be filled with spoilers. Do not abuse us in the comments. We told you here first.
Yes. So it's a fully spoiler-filled discussion. And do you want to go in chronological order of the plot? No. Okay. I have to say that I haven't had this much fun in a Hindi movie, in a theatre, probably since War.
Yeah.
That was probably the last time.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. It was like, okay, this film is designed as a full sensory overload. There is, it's just one action set piece after another. I have to say that for me, it flagged a little bit in let's say, the second half of the first half. If you want to be really specific about it, apologies. I know this is just killing the joy.
Guys, now you're here. Now you're here. So get with the program.
Correct.
You've seen the movie. We're talking about the film now.
That's right. So for me, there were times when the action overload was a little too much, but overall, just the joy of a collective experience. And this was all of it. From the minute Shah Rukh, like you saw a glimpse of that tight close-up of his eye, of his hair. People had lost their shit. And I'm talking about a Juhu multiplex. This is not a single screen.
I saw it in South Delhi. And again, packed theatre.
Yeah.
And they lost it from when the title card came.
Right.
So there was an energy and vibe almost to the point where the 4-year wait was actually palpable in that room.
Yeah.
And I do agree. I think I've said this also in my review that वो screenplay engage इतना करता है और फिर ऐसे सहन सा जाता है और फिर वापस pick up करता है और वो so that was my biggest gripe with it. And I think okay, I'll start with what I loved first. Okay?
Sure.
We can sporadically do
the
what didn't work. For me, John was amazing as the antagonist.
So that's the key. Your hero is only as good as the villain.
I agree. That was my biggest gripe with War, ma'am.
Yeah.
There wasn't a strong enough antagonist who did not have a good origin story, in my opinion, and almost didn't have a personality.
Right.
A cut-up Tiger Shroff is not the antagonist. It's that doctor who did the surgery and whatever happened eventually.
Right.
For me, John was engaging. They staged his entry so well. It was almost staged better than Shah Rukh's entry.
Yeah.
And I felt like his first interaction with Shah Rukh set up that entire Dubai sequence so well. Yeah. And I feel like even that origin story was something that I resonated with in terms of, I think a lot of people have said this, Abbas Tayarwala's writing with respect to nuance, even in a commercial space like this. The biggest criticism, say, for John's character is that he's an Indian soldier taking a contract from a Pakistani general and attacking India,
But that's the point.
But the point is that, and also, he has no loyalties.
That's right. And he says it enough.
Yeah. And at one instance, he wanted to just drop the bomb at Islamabad if he wanted to. Yeah. That's the unhinged sort of nature he's in.
It's that track of villainy, Anmol, that you trace back to the Joker.
Yeah.
Who was the OG of, he's an agent of chaos.
You want to see the world burn.
Yeah, you want to see the world burn. That's it. So you don't have loyalty, you don't have, and the fact that they gave him a backstory that his family died because the country was unwilling to negotiate with terrorists is, for me, like you said, more emotionally resonant than if he's just greedy or wants power. We've been there, done that, But here's a guy who suffered.
Ma'am, and then there's so much style backed by it, so it creates such a fun experience. It's so, I was like looking forward to the interactions between John and Shah Rukh so much. The trash talking between them was amazing.
Yes.
Even though those white shorts were a bit distracting, the trash talking was beautiful. I almost felt like the proximity was a little too close also between them, as if like they'll just kiss each other at one point.
Yeah, they just, I mean, see, so that's it. No, it's a grudging admiration.
Yeah, fully.
That's
fully.
what it is.
Yeah.
You know, so, and that's what sort of makes that film. But also, I feel, listen, the fact that Shah Rukh has reinvented himself as a 57-year-old action hero is just fab. And the fact that they would acknowledge it.
Yeah.
You know, he's not, you can see the mileage. You can see that, okay, he gets tired.
Yeah.
Like they had the little, you know, the grays in Hrithik's hair in War.
Yeah.
I think Sidharth Anand, the director, is very good about saying that, okay, he is older.
I love that it's so self-aware.
Yes.
And, you know, I think we can talk about what was my favorite moment of the movie.
Salman Khan and Shah Rukh Khan.
When that scarf dropped, I can't tell you the pandemonium in the theater, ma'am. I couldn't, as you said, I think
Couldn't
before
hear
we
the
started,
dialogue.
couldn't hear anything. And there is an undeniable swag to him as Tiger, I have to say. And both of them together, even as you said, self-aware of their age, the painkiller, the coffee, it was just perfect for him to have a, rest. He's on a timeout right now.
Right.
I'll kill the baddies till then. It was so well done.
Yeah.
And that's when I really got emotional. Just seeing the both of them back to back.
It's exactly right.
those
Anmol, at that moment, I felt like, and this is even before the last scene where they also kind of had tipped to their 30 years of stardom. But in that moment, you saw these two superstars who have held up Indian cinema for 30 years. How can you take that away from them?
You can't, ma'am.
You know, no matter what you think, no matter what your political leanings are, no matter what cinema you like, when the two of them are on a screen, if you have loved Indian cinema, you have loved them.
100%, ma'am. And you know, it was that frame itself of them with the automatic guns. The silliness of it all went away. I couldn't care less about they're on a moving train running back as it's going in a kite.
Nonsensical.
Yes. And you know, I think we keep on talking about the lack of conviction when it comes to over-the-top, massy commercial cinema. And I think it's after a long time that they hone in on that.
Yeah.
You know, this sort of silliness, this over-the-top, balls to the wall, let's just make you fly.
Well, you know, Anmol, the thing is, it's what Prashant Neel said. This is anti-gravity cinema.
Yeah.
Now, who is to decide how much anti-gravity is okay?
Yeah.
If it's anti-gravity, it is anti-gravity. That's what you bought into. Then, you know, I got comments saying, but isme logic kya the? I'm like, really?
Come
You went into a
on.
film called Pathaan looking for logic?
And knowing what you're going in for.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to constantly reiterate the fact that I am not saying this is a masterpiece.
Right.
I am not saying that Pathaan should be in the reckoning for the Oscar campaign
Correct.
next year.
Exactly.
It was a fun experience. It was almost overwhelming to see the euphoria in the theater, people dancing to music, people shouting at entry sequences. And we've not seen that in Hindi cinema in a long time. But the dips were there. I think it's important to acknowledge that.
No, for sure. I think for me, like I said, that second half starts to wobble, and that whole sequence on the ice was you know, for me, like the VFX. I think Sidharth Anand and his action directors have these great ideas, but the VFX are simply not up to the mark of what their imagination is, and after. You know, I guess there is a point at which you're like, okay, no, now I can't buy into this.
The abandon doesn't really happen, especially, you know, I was invested when both of them were at it with each other in the sense that Pathaan is chasing Jim.
Yeah.
But when Deepika entered with the skates, I was like, I can't. And you know, it's so refreshing to see like actors like Deepika and Katrina in this universe have a stake in the matter.
Yes.
They're getting their hands dirty. They're in the action sequences. I love it.
Yeah.
But the banter and that entire set piece of that vault sequence just did not land as a comedic sequence.
No, it didn't land, and it felt too much like a video game.
It was.
You know, it just felt like there wasn't enough emotional heft there. But you know what he does, Anmol, you know, and this is to Sidharth's credit, that just when you think that, okay, this is going to derail very quickly now,
let's get back to the action mode. Yeah,
he just pulls it back. He gets, you know, I mean, I have to tell you, I did get emotional when the virus affected all of, you know, half of India's raw team and they all had to kill themselves. And Dimple Kapadia, how fabulous
she was
is
great.
she?
I love their dynamic.
Yeah.
Almost like almost like colleagues or a mentor-student thing.
Absolutely. It was Bond and M.
Yes, Bond and M. That's a great parallel.
Yeah.
And for me, more than the speech and their connection, what hit me the most was his walk through the corridor. And
he hears them killing themselves. Yes.
The bullets and his reaction
Beautifully
to it.
staged.
It was very well staged.
Yeah.
And I felt... I loved his origin story. I thought it was so heartfelt.
Left in a theatre.
And left in a theatre, important to understand that he probably didn't have a religion, didn't know what his identity or faith was, thought that this country was the one that raised him, and then he served the country. That was as simple as it is. But on a mission, this Afghanistan family, which is again refreshing that they're humans also, not just you know, a rogue group somewhere.
Yes.
I'm telling you, ma'am, even though it is sort of showcased as a kind of cheesy, heartfelt moment, it hit me.
Yeah.
I think that's Amir Khan's sister,
It
right?
is Nikhat, yes.
Yes. That Hamara Pathaan hit me.
Yeah,
and
it did.
I thought...
No, the emotions land.
They do.
You can't just carry a film on action.
Yeah.
That never works. I mean, if Rajamouli has taught us anything, it's that.
100%.
You know, that there has to be emotion, and the emotions landed better than the comedy in this film.
Oh, the comedy just did not have... Even the Kiran just didn't land for me.
It didn't kind of connect, but I felt like the emotions really did. And the fact that, again, at the centerpiece, there is Shah Rukh, who we've lived with for 30 years, who has given us the joys and the sorrows, who has shaped our dreams, our ambitions, and who's been through so much himself.
It's insane, ma'am. You know, as like fans of Hindi cinema, now that since the past 3 or 4 years, we've been talking about a lot of films across languages, I think it becomes sort of our prerogative to understand context. You know, what this type of cinema is, why there is a connection with a particular actor. And Shah Rukh Khan is that context which is so important for a film like Pathaan.
Yeah.
Those 4 years, it's not just 4 years, it's been like 20 years of ups and downs when he's been at the top of his game and not so much.
Yeah.
And I feel like this return couldn't be packaged better. A slight brag.
Yes.
I have to tell you, 2019, I remember I had seen Zero and Shah Rukh had not signed anything, and I had formulated this video. It's like, what can be Shah Rukh's perfect comeback? And I was like, it would be lovely if he's somehow in this YRF world with Hrithik.
Really?
Or Dawn 3. That was my pitch. It would be lovely if he can riff it with Hrithik and YRF. And this YRF Spy Universe thing happened. I was like, I'm just manifesting everything.
Love it.
So it was meant to be.
It was meant
to be. It was so lovely to see him on the big screen. Yeah. I took my family in the evening who are big Shah Rukh Khan fans, and my sister-in-law just saw him and she was just like, oh my god, oh my god. IMAX theater, Shah Rukh again. They had a lovely time.
No, but it is that. It is the joy of the movies. It's the joy of the big screen. It's the joy of just having a good time in a popcorn entertainer. But you know, the truth is, Anmol, that this film was never just a film.
It isn't.
It was, you know, given how all of this negativity and hate, especially on social media, and boycott Bollywood. I mean, this was so much more than just a film. There was too much at stake.
Violence. There's attempts to sabotage a release.
Yeah.
There is so much chatter on news channels, political groups, all for just with the vested interest of something failing.
Yeah.
And
the fact that it didn't, and not only didn't fail, it is huge.
It is massive. It's the biggest.
Massive. It's the biggest.
Yeah.
So for me, Anmol, and I know this sounds very dramatic, but it's almost like it reaffirms a certain idea of India, because that's what he stands for.
Yeah.
And that's what, in a way, even though it's a popcorn entertainer, the sort of politics they put in there are inclusive. He is about chivalry. He's about compassion. He's about being this guy who is there for everyone.
That's what people pointed out also. In the midst of mass commercial cinema, you still got a softie Shah Rukh Khan as the lead.
There are tears in his eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a savior of the world who cries, and what could be better? And I have to say, the last scene, again, spoiler alert, folks, that conversation between Shah Rukh and Salman, where they consider who might be contenders to their throne, and then say, देश का सवाल है, बच्चों पे नहीं छोड़ सकते.
Too good. हमें ही करना पड़ेगा.
You are just like, please, just do it for the next 30 years.
I sometimes think, is Abbas Tyrewala's writing meta throughout for Shah Rukh?
Right.
Because there are certain moments where I'm like, is this a reference of his hiatus? मैं वापस आया हूँ, और खतरनाक. Even the analogy with the Japanese term.
Right. When something's broken, you put gold and fix it and it becomes better.
So is that Shah Rukh? There were so many references where I was like, either that's really clever or it just fit perfectly.
That's right. Yeah. But Anmol, I also think what you said before, it's important to acknowledge that they're not making the women just eye candy.
Oh.
I mean, of course, everyone's eye candy in this film, and damn good. Like,
come on,
better?
John, man, look at him.
And apparently he didn't even know he had to do that shirtless scene. He just looks like that anyway.
You're talking about Besharam Rang was like, the problem? Look at John getting out of that swimming pool.
That's right. Cut back to the yellow trunks in Dostana, right?
Oh, Lord.
Oh, my God.
This was better, though.
This was better. This was better. But I think the fact that they have a sequence where Deepika gets to wield this massive gun and shoot up people, and the fact that she is from Pakistan. But because she's from Pakistan, she's not the enemy necessarily. It's not that de facto she becomes the enemy.
That separation of the fact that the antagonist is General Qadir,
yeah.
He is Pakistani, and there is this soldier who doesn't resonate with his motive. That became so clear.
Yeah.
And it's attention to detail that's sadly not there in commercial cinema. It's mostly all of them are like this, and their motive is to go after Indians.
Yeah.
And that becomes so repetitive.
Which we saw in something like Mission Majnu. Only 10 days. I mean, why? Why are they portrayed as just this nation of buffoons? I mean, come on.
And Mission Majnu went into a spy film and just made it a comedy.
Yeah.
At one point
it is unintentionally comical, for sure.
Every single time where he got into a costume and Kumud Mishra is like saying dialogues like, bloody fool, and you're like, Sid is with a fake mustache, and Sid playing a Sardar to get into the Lahore Express. Yeah. It was too comical. It almost like, it almost butchered everything about the spy verse, about the genre.
Yeah, exactly. No, so I think this is the way that kick-ass popcorn entertainment spy verses should be done.
I wished that her origin story was written a bit better. I didn't feel like more empathy towards her for whatever
because of the father's backstory. Sure. See, those are the soft spots.
Yeah.
That the writing in places, it's just, I think Sidharth Anand as a director, his love is on the action.
Yeah.
His care, his passion, his all of his kind of energy is devoted to that, and the pieces in between sometimes tend to falter.
They tend to, but ma'am, even though we're stating that they're past their physical prime, Shah Rukh is nimble as hell. There are times where I'm trying to look at his face, whether it's a body double, whether it's him. There are times where he's executing it from start to finish.
Yeah.
And some of those long shots are something which really are like exemplary action sequences.
The action is amazing.
Not the jetpack.
Not the jetpack.
The hand-to-hand combat, yes.
Yeah. So the jetpack and the frozen lake were the two where
not
it just
fans.
Not fans.
It was almost as if he wanted to cover every element.
Correct.
So
correct.
And the jetpack was, overkill for sure.
For sure. But listen, I think the fact that Hindi cinemas had a massive hit, that Shah Rukh has had a massive comeback, couldn't be happier. And I just hope that what this does is, just bring people back into theatres again. I saw a photo on Twitter this morning that the Inox in Srinagar is full. There's houseful boards in Gaiety Galaxy, in Srinagar, across the country. What is the downside of that? Why aren't people able to be happy for that?
My, I think, biggest pet peeve on online culture, social media, is when it almost becomes a sport to shame on people who love a particular type of content.
Right.
Who are celebrating, who are just in that abandon and were invested.
Yeah.
This notion that this isn't top tier cinema is something that you have to acknowledge why people are connecting to the content. And it's lovely to see. It is celebration of cinema. And again, we're not saying that this is some highbrow content that should be considered for international awards.
But it delivers on what it promises.
Exactly. It delivered what it promised. And I mean, I expected nothing less. I actually got more.
I did too. Yeah. So, Anmol, it's also a very interesting time for Marathi cinema.
Yes.
Ved has been a big hit. I also saw Vaalvi, which was really interesting. It went into places I was not expecting that film to go and made me laugh a lot. What did you think of those movies?
Loved Vaalvi because I went with zero expectations.
Me too.
Just the Marathi subscribers told me that it's a dark comedy. You love it. I really appreciate Swapnil Joshi and the kind of content that he's doing.
Also, Paresh Mokashi, the director, had made Harish Chandrachi Factory.
Yeah.
So for me, that was like, okay, I need to see this.
Yeah. But the turn of events were great, and I loved the women in the film. They were firecrackers, absolutely like intimidating towards the men. I was invested in the ride. So, and it's like a running time of around 1.5 hours.
It's not very long, and obviously it's made on a limited budget. But look at what he did with just a few rooms, a car. So again, it's in the writing.
No, it was very entertaining.
It was very entertaining.
And I thought the climax was done really well.
Yes, it was again completely unexpected.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming at all, which was great fun. With Ved, I was very interested in how Riteish Deshmukh, who's making the transition from actor-producer to director, kind of handle this very sort of masala. Listen, it's very old school, and there is no woman on the planet like Shravani. I just want all the men out there. I'm just putting it down for the record. This woman does not exist. Do not expect it.
Who's going to tolerate that bad behavior for so long?
For so long, for 7 years, she's just loving this man who is truthfully not very likable for a long time.
Not likable, not employed, sort of a deadbeat alcoholic.
He's just a drunk, and she still loves him. And I was like, okay, Shravani, you need to kick some butt now. But there were still moments, Anmol, where, like the way he introduced Shravani's backstory into the scenes where you see him with the other girl who is his first love. I thought that was a very sort of deft directorial touch. And that last scene where she tells him why she's finally leaving him despite tolerating all his utter bullshit for so long, because it's fake. Because the relationship feels fake as opposed to just him treating her badly. I thought it was really well done.
So I had seen Majnu before.
You've seen the original, the Telugu original. Yeah.
And Samantha was amazing in that last sequence that you're talking about. I feel like Riteish and Genelia are very comfortable together on screen. So they have some of these moments which almost seem like they do belong together. I just couldn't connect with Riteish at all. You get so annoyed with his behavior.
Sure.
You just try to understand why she's putting up with it.
Right.
So the culmination of it all in that sequence, I remember feeling like that gut-wrenching pain for Samantha and Chai when they did that scene. I did feel it here as well, but I think the Ajay Atul music really elevated it as well.
Their music, that Ved Tuja, is just fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, that sort of swelling up of emotion that they're able to put into their music is just spectacular.
It also tells you, I think, the Marathi audience also really connects with love stories, with a lot of heartbreak, a lot of dard.
Absolutely.
Whether it's Sidharth or this.
Second biggest hit after Sidharth.
It's insane.
Yeah. So I hope that they build on this momentum because, there was a time around 2004 when Shwas was the entry for the Oscars from India, where it felt like Marathi cinema was really coming into its own, and then it kind of didn't build on that. Of course, you had the Stray Fandry and Court, and of course Sidharth, the mothership. But I hope that now you're seeing these kind of moments of like just sparkle.
I do hope so, ma'am, because in the last year or so, I was catching up with some Marathi cinema, and all the films like Pavan Khind and these big massy commercial films on historical figures, those movies are commercially doing really well, but in form sometimes they falter. And I feel like these stories, which are, I think they tell them the best way, whether it's socio-political or relationships, I think they really excel in it. So looking forward to more, and I think I should do the due diligence as well and catch up with more Marathi cinema as well.
Me too. You're also going to see Gandhi Godse Ek Yudh. I missed it because I was at a wedding, but you're seeing it today.
Yes, seeing it today. Rajkumar Santoshi after a long hiatus.
After, right? I think, 10 years. And it's actually, from what I've read, it's an interesting idea of kind of reimagining history, which I think Quentin Tarantino started, and of course RRR took it further, but why not?
Yeah, the hypothetical, it makes for a great premise if you think about it. So I am very interested and keen to know how it turns out.
How it plays out. Okay, we will talk about it the next time. But before we go, let's look at our comments.
So this is from Desi Rockstar. They should definitely make War 2 as a prequel with John Abraham. John has so much story to tell. Even as John is ruthless in this movie, you really feel bad and emotional for John's origin story. I hope Siddharth Anand somehow includes John in War 2. That's a very interesting idea. If War 2 is a prequel.
But look, the truth is he went down.
Is he
dead? He didn't die.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
he's not dead.
So the future installments can also be the future.
Indeed.
But I think if that is the case, it would still be very interesting to see how the dynamic between him and Hrithik was together.
I mean, who would win?
The same frame, John and Hrithik. I am game.
Me too.
Just show it to me.
First day, first show.
Yeah.
Okay, Sagnik Chaudhary says, these were exactly my thoughts watching the film. Couldn't have said it in better words myself. The VFX issue comes down to the budget of the film. Even mega budget Indian films don't have the amount of money required to pull off the required quality of VFX in such action set pieces, which might just be the truth. It
is a morsel, I guess, of like what you look at with big Marvel productions and Hollywood
Mission
productions.
Impossibles and all the
That's
rest
insane.
of it. Yeah.
But I think still people have a way with the limited budget also to excel in those sequences. I think Red Chillies does a phenomenal job with it. I feel like if they would have put a little more attention in those grand set pieces, it would have looked so much better.
Yeah. So, I agree. Okay, so well, listen, this was a chat that has warmed the cockles of my heart. I am so happy. Look, the truth is we are all now here for Indian cinema, but Hindi cinema is why I fell in love with the movies. Yeah. And I'm so happy to see it flourishing again.
You can love a film. You can love if it's a celebration and more than a film. Nobody should feel ashamed to have had a good time during Pathaan.
Yeah.
And
that's why we go to the movies.
100%. And we can talk about several aspects that worked for us and didn't. But if everyone's having a good time, who are we to tell them, this is not the right thing to do? I don't know. I think we've had enough drama online.
Yes.
Pre the release of Pathaan, everyone had a good time now.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks so much, Anmol. And thank you everyone for watching.